Greetings in the name of His Imperial Majesty. It's Got Talk. Oh, some boy, I feel like. Welcome to another episode of Our Philly Show for us by us. And I just want to give a big shout out to MediaNet TV. I want to give a shout out to the producers, management, and all the crew that are working behind the scenes effortlessly to facilitate this amazing platform. It's Got Talk, our Philly show. It's a community-based show where every single week I interview influential members of our community. Tonight is no different. It's Got Talk. I got two warrior sisters in the house, and I want to welcome to the our Philly show the Royal Empress Amanda. She's looking at me funny because she knows she gave me the look. And the Queen, right? The Queen Majesty. Our some boy, I feel like. Joy with an eye. Good evening.
Greetings.
How you doing, sisters?
Good, thank you.
All right. So I know the gloves are off tonight. Look, tonight's a very unusual show. In fact, it's out of all my Philly shows I've done, this is going to be a different spin completely. And I'll tell you why, because usually I handpick my guests. You know, last week I had the pleasure of having the great Andrew Brother Mohammed joining us. But this week's a bit different because Amanda, I know you contacted me and you personally requested, you said, yes, I've had enough. You know what I mean? I want to come on the shore. I want to talk to the people. I want to tell them how I feel. And as for you, you just come get across the shore. We don't even know where you come from.
And it's all good. All good.
So, let's get into the mix. You know, where would you like to start?
Okay, I'd just like to introduce myself. My name's Amanda, and I'm the co-founder at Nishat, and that's a store down in Croydon, 101 Church Street. And we facilitate a number of services from there. We're also retail, where we sell books for the mind, body, spirit, and soul. We sell food and natural remedies. So it's about empowering yourself, taking in all the natural goodness to help support you. And what if now isn't a better time than ever to want to build up your immune system, come down and have a look at what we have there.
Brilliant.
So, yeah.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And yourself, Joy?
Yes, as you know, I'm Joy with an I. It's always very difficult for me to pigeonhole myself because I do so much. And I think that's one of the things with us beautifully melanated people. We are multi-talented and we do a lot. I have made a little switch in the past few years. And I've switched to people who are actually empowered, because there's lots of people helping people to get empowered, but there's very little for those people who are empowered to be able to come together and empower each other. So that's the journey I'm on at the moment.
Absolutely amazing. Well, I want to thank both of you for joining me in the studio.
Thanks
And
for having us.
I'm looking forward to, just, exploring your beautiful minds.
Fantastic.
So, Amanda, I know that where you're concerned, I don't know if the right word to use is frustration, but I know where you're concerned. There is a slight frustration on the lack of practical application, or to put it in other words, the lack of practical application you see taking place in our community. I mean, do you want to just elaborate on that?
I think, you know what? In my walk of life, I've met so many professionals out there in their turns, men and women, across all facets, economics, health, you name it. But what I would like to see in the community is what I reiterate what Umar Johnson says, like, where are our institutions? Where are our bodies? Where are our schools? Where are our health hospital? Where are our banks? just where are they, and are we not able to put that together? And this is where I'm appealing, because I know we're out there. We are just as talented as everyone else. Can we come together and put these items together? Can we facilitate these institutions, if you want to say, in our community, because we need them. We need them more than ever.
So I know that question was hypothetical.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, rhetorical.
Mm-hmm.
Where are our schools?
Yeah.
Where are our hospitals? But I'm gonna answer it in
Mm-hmm.
real time.
Please.
They don't exist.
Right.
Right or wrong?
Right.
Now, I know as well as you do that we can all sit down and talk about the problem, and we can identify many problems. And I think these are quite big ones: schools, hospitals, certain institutions, etc., banks. But I didn't really want to say banks, because some people say, but there is that bank or there is that bank, and then the waters get muddy. But overall, I get where you're coming from. Schools and hospitals is clear. I'm talking in the UK, we don't own any or have any.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So we can talk about the problem. But as you know and I know, once we start pointing at the solutions, the room goes quiet. You look around and the numbers start dropping. And before you know it, you looks like you're standing on a soapbox by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's also the other thing, because I was around, and I'm not going to mention any names, but I was around in a time where some quite senior Black people were putting together a bank. It was going to be the first Black bank in the UK. And we thought that they would have money problems, like actually getting the finances together. No, that wasn't what it was. The financial institutions that already existed. That was their problem. And each time they were able to go a little step further, then the goalpost was moved. And that kept happening. They'd go a bit further, goalpost moved again. So eventually, it just didn't happen.
Okay.
So for me, I think that one of the things is that we're trying to do our thing in their system.
Absolutely. But and I have this conversation all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I go back and forth. It's like, can you build your house in somebody else's house? However, I'm thinking, but if the Asian community can do it, and the Jewish community can do it, and all the other races can have theirs, why can't we have ours? And I'm saying that I've attended a meeting with a brother that you know, and it was said that there was the only part that they got to was a financial one, where they needed a certain amount of money before they could make that transition from a credit union into a bank. So I'm not sure about how it was when when you were aware of it, but as far as I'm aware of it, it was just having the money to make that step and become a bank.
Well, what had happened, and this was, I would say this was late 80s, early 90s. Money wasn't the problem. And I think I know who you were talking about with the credit union. There were millions. They had access to millions that came from the US, that came from the motherland, that came from the Caribbean, that came from other parts of Europe. Money wasn't the problem. But it's back to what you were saying about building your house in somebody else's house.
And can I just interject there, sister? I mean,
Yeah.
When I started fishing, that's what I do, I didn't expect to get the answer. So 10 minutes into this conversation, and you hit the nail on the head. That was just a cherry on the top when you explained, and Amanda gave the analogy of building your house in somebody else's house, and you gave the example of the goalpost constantly being moved. And when we look at, like I said, we look at all the problems that we have, and we can talk about the problems, and then we start to address the solutions. I think that this is paramount to the conversation of solutions is the acknowledgement that we cannot build your house in somebody else's house. I'll give you another example. I know a lot of organizations that are fighting to reform and change the way that our young men and women are treated in the school system. And we know by all of their statistics, so there's no conspiracy here.
Yeah.
This is by their statistics. They've openly admitted that black boys are more, I think it's like 70% more likely, don't quote me on the number, likely to get expelled than their white counterparts.
Yeah.
I know through my own personal experience, I was excluded 13 times as a juvenile at secondary school.
Yeah.
And when you're living in a single parent household where your mum's main priority is making sure she reaches work on time for massa every day, 9 to 5, and she's just pushing you out the door, make sure you get to school, be quiet, do as you're told, don't give the teacher no problem, blah, blah, blah. Right? When you're getting blackballed in school, you know, and labeled, and the institutionalized mechanisms are in play, the school to prison pipeline, that system is already in play, and you're experiencing firsthand the brunt of that, and you're coming home and trying to tell your mother as a child, Mum.
Yeah, but just to add to that as well, Ace, even when you gave those statistics, what is also a fact is that black boys excel until a point, to a certain point in age,
exactly.
And then those mechanisms take place on that young man to be excelled, or expelled, excluded, and whatever have you from school.
Right. So my thing is just that, you know, a lot of people can have their heart in the right place, but you know, if your heart's in the wrong, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, that fish will always feel he's stupid.
Yes.
So you have to have the right answer for the right problem. Do you understand me? And for me personally, fighting a school system that you already know is against your use, that all the statistics are there. Why are we fighting against that? Why not we just have our own? Do you understand what I'm saying? And I think this is the crux of a lot of our problems. And I've been saying this, it's got talk for the last year, that we are too dependent on massa. We're too dependent on the plantation. I've been saying to people, forget the plantation. And this is why we don't have our own schools. Because this is why we don't have our own schools. Because we could just go to the NHS when we're sick. And what does the NHS tell you? Stay at home, protect the NHS. Hey, I'm gonna keep quiet now, you know.
But it's more so. No,
Go on,
what it is that I've seen so many brothers and sisters with this whole natural, homeopathic, natural remedies that will deal with root causes rather than the symptoms. Imagine if we had a NHS, so to speak, where we would go and we will deal with those root causes rather than the symptoms. Can you imagine us having that in our community?
Well, this is one of the things I know that you mentioned earlier, Auntie Jean, with the Garvey Village is intending to set up, because they want to have all of those holistic practitioners and those services on standby. And that's why it's important that we support each other and support any community organization that is at the forefront of trying to push to put those parameters in place. Sorry, you were saying, sister.
You know, did you finish yours?
No, go on.
Looking at all of this, I mean, we are people that we look forward, but then we do the Sankofa bird. You know, we look backwards in order to go forward. And there have been a lot of really good people over the years that have done a lot of really good things, you know, for hundreds of years. And so we have to ask ourselves the question, well, actually, so-and-so did this many years ago, and somebody else did this. So why hasn't it taken root? Why hasn't it grown? And so we're playing with the idea of changing the energy, actually changing the energy. Because if we try to plant a seed in fallow ground, it's not going to grow. And I think that we actually know a little bit more about energy, and our grandparents knew about the energy. You know, the grandmother would say, boy, you know, just couldn't take to him, and would express it in that
Mhm.
kind of way. So there's a group of us that are really looking at changing the energy, because we believe that once the energy is changed, then certain things will just become, because there are so many different things that need fixing, and it's practically impossible
Yeah, and
to deal with them all. So perhaps if we actually worked on changing the energy, then those things like the money and the education and the poverty and all of that kind of stuff,
mhm.
maybe then we will have a chance. Go
Yeah,
ahead, darling.
I mean, I work in conjunction with the both, because as well as changing the energy,
Mhm.
there still has to be practical and tangible and physical manifestations of that energy.
Mhm.
So going back to where I'm like, why I came on the show is to say, our community, we need to establish and have those 4 items that I mentioned earlier. And to do so, I'm appealing to those that have the knowledge, that are professional, that know what it takes to set up these institutions.
Mhm.
And let's come together and let's do it. Let's just do
Absolutely.
it. No more talking,
Yep.
no more lip service.
Mhm.
How do we plan for this? How can we plan for this and get this off the ground?
And also it's knowing that things like the change, as we keep talking about, it happens on lots of levels. So one of the quickest and easiest ways to get change is through art and media, plays, records, paintings, whatever art and media, because people do connect with that. So while we're doing the changing of the energy, if you like, then we can be doing the practical things, and it is about us coming together, and we'll say, okay, Ace, you're a specialist in this, so yeah, you'll do that bit, and then Amanda, you'll do this, and Joy and I will do this particular piece. But it's about coming together and doing that, and
Can I come
putting
in this?
aside the egos. And
Can I come in there, sister?
Sure.
So I want to play God's advocate. And I'm gonna, because I know you mentioned the energy, then you mentioned the practical solutions, and then you mentioned this next point. But I'm just gonna just break it down a little bit. All right.
Sure.
So I want to touch on energy with yourself.
Yes.
Then I want to go into a bit more what you said about practical solutions. Let's just stripping it back. So you said it's about changing the energy.
Yes.
What does that look like?
Well, it actually starts with the individual, and there's a lot of things out there that talk about change, about being powerful and looking at the power within, but it doesn't really. It's almost floating out there in the air. And I think that if we were to know, if each individual person were to actually get it in their head that they have something to do with how the world is today, because we all feed into that energy. We all feed into that energy. So if we can get that critical mass of us, that's a physics thing. The critical mass is the small piece that is strong enough to take the rest with it. So we don't even have to have everybody. We just need a critical mass of people who know about this.
Mhm.
And that can actually work together. And as I say, empower each other. We're givers. And so we're very good at going out there and empowering other people. And what we're suggesting is that, we actually spend some time empowering each other so that we can go out and do what we do.
Do you think that's enough?
Well, until we try something, because I often say to you, Ace, I don't even know half the questions, never mind about having all the answers. And I would never, ever set myself up as someone that knows the answers. This is, what we're suggesting hasn't really been tried wholesale. So it's, who is it that said, I think it was Einstein that said the definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, you must be reading my mind. I mean, so let me break it down like this. This is where I'm at, and I'm going to pressure you in a minute, because I'm all about the community, but like we all made jokes offline. we shared the joke first, and I shared the joke. I'm all about the community, but Ace got talk. Yeah, I'm a hands-on man.
Sure.
And it's about practical solutions.
Yes.
So I don't want to do the kumbaya stuff. Yeah, because we can all that, oh yeah, if we just get together. So I know you're deeper than that, Joy. And I get what you're saying about changing the energy, and I was going to quote myself when I said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
That's right.
And on the other hand, you said that we could try something different. I would suggest at this stage is that there is no need to try anything different because we don't need to reinvent the wheel.
Okay.
And the black print
Yeah.
is already there.
Absolutely.
And it's not just there once, it's there repeatedly. The same methodology. We can start with Marcus Garvey.
Yeah.
It's all there.
It is all there.
And I think it's more about the practical application.
But
And
you
this
see,
is where we lack.
Yeah.
We like you were saying, Amanda, earlier, that we got a lot of people that got a lot of lip service. A lot of lip service. But as you say, all right, let's roll up our sleeves. Here's a shovel. Let's get down in the trenches and start digging.
That's
No
it.
one's in the trenches.
That's it.
No one's in the trenches.
That's it.
this is it may sound as if I'm disagreeing with you, but I'm
No,
not really.
we'll reason. We are reason. No, we are reason. So we are reason.
You know, we have because we're so westernized, we don't really have the value that we ought to be having about our insides and our spirituality.
Teach.
And I think that's where some of our leaders
100%.
have kind of, they've just fallen down because we're so into how the West do things, and we say, right, this gets this result and that gets that result, and everything else is kumbaya and tree hugging. And one of the best ways
I'm gonna hug up to a tree. Everything gonna be all right. I'm not done with that, I'm done, Right.
Yeah,
We need action now.
one of the best ways to discredit something is to ridicule it. And our spirituality and the stuff that we know, that we feel, that maybe we can't even always put a word to, but we know we feel it. And we're told, oh, well, no. We've got to be practical. We've got to, forget about all of that because that doesn't work. How do you know it doesn't work? It works in my life. I've been able to, I've been able to manifest. You've been able to manifest, and I'm sure you've been able to manifest.
Yeah.
And it's working with that part of us. And I'm not suggesting that's the only thing we do. Of course, we're going to be doing other things.
But I'm going to agree with you there, and I'm going to say, because we're going deeper now, and the first point you made was a deep point. It was very deep, and I think it was very in line with tonight's conversation about what needs to change and how we go about doing it. But going a bit deeper, because you touched on religion, this is one of the things that has fragmented the Black community. Because if you look at other communities, that is something that unifies them, it's something that glues them. Even in the Hindi religion, where they have multiple gods, they're still unified by that. We are fragmented, and I think I think it starts with, I don't like the word religion because I don't like what it stands for, but I'm also very cautious when we use the word spirituality, because that's a very ambiguous word and it means lots of different things to different people. But for the nature of this conversation, I'm going to use the word religion. It's not a word I normally use, but we need to be uniformed under one common belief system.
Yeah, we are. We're all like you said, fragmented. We're all under different sects, different. I don't know, Rastafarian, all sets society,
Hebrew,
Nation
Islam,
of Israel. The list can go. The list
but
goes
I liked
on,
what you said. I liked what you said earlier on about in this time, if we cannot do that unity in this time, because in this time, unity now is for nothing less than our survival.
Absolutely.
Nothing less than our survival. So if we cannot find, and we will find a way, because we're all on it, so we will find a way. We just want other people to join us.
That's right. And so again, just to reiterate again, Ace, thank you for having me on the show, because this is really what I want to do. I do want to appeal to those of you to make contact, leave a message online, what, you know, tell us what your skill is. Do you fit the criteria of school and setting up a school? Do you fit the criteria of you already have a credit union and want to make that step into a bank? Do you have the criteria of you want to set up a wholesale or a row of supermarkets that belong to us, that sells our products, that, you know, our foods? You know, do you want to have a health, I don't know, again, quote unquote, NHS? Do you want to have the health that gives our, you know, that we can go to, that's conducive to our way, to our DNA, to our lifestyles? Can we set these facilities up? And I'm appealing to you, if you do want to get involved, if you do want to sit round the table and start planning this, then please make contact on Ace, on the Ace show.
Drop me an email, info@realtalkradio.co.uk. I'm going to start to pressure you now, because what I want to do.
Sorry, Ace, before you go to another bit, can I just add to what the sister-in was saying about the skills?
No, not at this moment, because it won't make a difference, and I'll explain why.
Okay.
So I'm going to pressure you now, because you talked about energy, because what I don't want to do tonight is have a kumbaya show. I don't want two sisters sitting there, head wrapped, looking the part. We need to change the energy, and I'm going to appeal to anyone who's got any skills, because I'm going to be God's advocate. So we asked you about the energy, and you went a bit deeper, and you talked about spirituality, religion, and through my own studies and my understanding of sociology, it's got taught, man, a scientist, chemist, psychologist, all them thing there. You know what I mean? But so I was going to do a joke one in there, but I thought I won't throw that one in there, the one beginning with G. But boom, it's got talk. Religion is important, being unified under one spiritual order and one common goal. You know, this is what one of the things anyway that makes the Muslims and other organizations so successful, is one order, one belief system. So we covered that. Now, sis, you said, and I want to read out the comments coming in, guys. So shout out to Pamela Haynes on the car. I'm going to read those out in a sec, but I have to just pattern this up neatly. Now, sis, you said twice, because I didn't get back to you the first time. And I mean, I love you like cook food. You know, I love you, but reason we are reason. See? You said that I want to appeal to all the people that have got these skills and those skills and those skills. And then Joy comes in and she's like, yeah, but can I just add something in the skills part? And I cut it. I said, realistically, let's be realistic. Yeah? And if you want, I'll give you the definition of reality. Reality, yeah, is the state of things as they actually are, as opposed to an idealistic notion of them. It's got talk. I'll say it again. Get out the Oxford Dictionary. You can look this one up. Reality is the state of things as they actually are, as opposed to an idealistic notion of them. So idealistically, it would be nice, this is a question to Amanda, then you could come enjoy it. It would be nice to come on MediaNet TV, talk to you all and say, right, we ain't got no schools, we ain't got no banks, we ain't got no hospitals. I'm going to make an appeal to anyone who's got those skills, get in touch with me, and we're going to start planning this. And it'll be nice, the happy events that you got, you know, inundated with contact, and that contact led to the first black bank opening, the first black school.
Okay.
But realistically, do you think it's that easy?
We make it, it's up to us. Whatever we want, we think we can manifest. I don't know if you don't know that, but I sure know that, because I've done it. You know, I was like skeptical of leaving work and starting Carry Design. I stepped it. I did it. I've got it.
Exactly.
It's here.
Exactly.
I wanted to expand on Carry Design and have somewhere bigger. It was hard. It was scary. I came and met the right people. We did it. It's here. Anything we can do. Anything we can do. Anything that we think about, we can manifest.
That's why I love you like cook food. That's why I love you like cook food. And this is quite embarrassing, because we got women on here talking like this. Women. And I keep saying, excuse me, but the women have got more balls than the men. We got women saying, what do you mean? Yes. If me send me what I build school, me I got build school. I mean what hospital taught. It's got to do the maths, soak it up. I love you, sister.
You know what? If we want it bad enough, and it's not even if we want it, we have to have these things. All right, I could say, well, you know what? I hope to retire early and I'm going home and I'm going to develop there. But this is still going to be my office. I'm still going to be coming back here, you know, back and forth. I would like to see that these institutions are set up for those that aren't going to take the leap and go back to home and to develop home. But there needs to be something here, you know, for our youngsters, because it is all about that. If we don't have liberation, we are going to find ourselves back in that circle of things. You know, it's like we mentioned before, Ace. It was like, okay, yeah, I can be all right. You know, my children can go to university and get a job. Get a job back under somebody that isn't their own, that isn't their company, that isn't, and go right back into that circle of things. Is that really what we want? Is that what we're really going to leave to our children?
Yeah, and back to the you know, what we feel inside. Do we really believe that it's an accident that we as a community from way back when have been worked on to ensure that we have no faith in ourselves? Do we think that that's an accident?
Brilliant.
That is not an accident.
Brilliant.
Because
Brilliant.
people in power, they know who we are.
Absolutely.
Not only they know who they're afraid of we.
That's right.
It's true.
You know.
It's true.
So this is what we were saying about actually getting that strength inside. And going back to what you were saying, I loved your response, because you created your own reality.
Absolutely.
You created your own reality, and that's what we can do.
It's true.
We know that we have the power to manifest. You know, we've had that conversation. Now here's this that you've manifested. And I bet you people listening out there and watching out there have manifested. You know, this is the kind of power that we're talking about.
Absolutely.
This is what we're talking about. So with all those other skills that we were talking about, the other layer that I wanted to put in was that we've got the practicalities, but let's also strengthen ourselves. Let's have some faith in ourselves. Let's take a leaf out of your book. Let's take a leaf out of your book, you know, and do that. But we must have that faith. And what I'm saying is that there's quite a few of us at the moment who are actually there, and all we need to do is we need to say, okay, you want to shop, right? What is it that I can do to help you get your shop? You know, and so we facilitate each other. And there are all it needs is a critical mass of us, but it's so important that we don't just look at the practicalities, that we look at the internals to keep those, so that once we build those practicalities, they stand up.
That's right.
They don't kind of fall. They don't fall away.
That critical mass that you're talking about, I've seen it.
Yeah,
like I've gone out and did events and gone to different events, and there's been a plethora of people on the health and the health and the remedies, natural remedies, and then there's been a number on economics and financial health and stuff.
So what do you think is missing?
It's out there.
What do I mean? We've talked about the those things being out there, and so my question is, well, as we have those skills there, what is it that's missing? Is it just that people need a place to go to get together with those people? I mean, I have no idea, because I agree with you. There's a world of skills out there. We've got a world of skills.
You can, go for it.
Right, Nishat, Croydon, 101 Church Street.
Yes.
We have set the 1 million challenge.
Okay.
The 1 million challenge. And the idea behind that is that we raise £1 million to facilitate the coming together of those professionals that have the skills, that have the know-how, that know how to start these processes. That's the start.
Excellent.
Because what it is that we're missing is the money. It's the money.
You'll be surprised at where we can get that money.
Yeah.
Because you'll be surprised
It's the
where
money.
we can get
but
that
what
money.
about not getting it and
Good.
creating our own money, putting together our money so that it's ours? Not that we've gone somewhere else. All right. I'm not saying not to access funds. Do you know what I mean? But what I am saying is that we can start this ball rolling by all donating. And we've asked for £1. £1 from 1 million people. Yeah, just to say this is what we're going to start. We are going to start something for our community at where we are now, even in this era of COVID-19 or coronavirus. All you hear across the media is why are BMEs so impacted by this COVID virus. Oh, it's housing and the disadvantages that they have in housing, or because they live with so many people, or it's because they're frontline workers and they work in the hospitals and they haven't been protected. The number of different things we've known from the day that our grandparents have stepped in this country, that there's been a disadvantage to us across the board. Across the board. So what do we do now? We look at the things that we need to help develop or get to the root causes of why we are disadvantaged and change that.
Absolutely.
Change that, if you want to call it energy, change it, change the policy, or just build our own.
Yeah, and
do our own
The energy
thing.
is very real. The energy is very real. You know, the scientists, I think, they're beginning to actually take it seriously now. And I've seen a lot more talk about our electromagnetic field. I've seen a lot more talk about that. And, you know, to go along with what you were saying and seeing how the practical and the other stuff can work together. See, while you're doing that, the other thing that we're doing is we've got something called the Unity Line. And that is going to be a physical expression of our unity. And it's going to be a line of black. Can you imagine this? Imagine this, a line of black people from Leeds to London. Everybody holding hands from Leeds to London. And then we've got, when somebody says, well, actually, we're not unified, we've at least got a symbol, because that's what the Unity Line is. It's a living symbol of black unity. You know, so everything works together. The West encourages us to see things separately. And one of the things that I think it's important for us to remember is when Socrates and all those lot.
You're going on alchemist. You're going alchemy. Sorry to cut you. You're going alchemy. You know, that's beautiful. Because when you said, sorry, I want you to carry. When you said the West encourages us to see everything differently, I was thinking on an alchemistic level, because when you understand the sciences, biology, science, all the sciences were one.
Absolutely.
When we educated them,
they couldn't understand it. So we had to split it up.
We had to break it down for them. I said, all right, look, here. This is science.
Yes,
this is chemistry.
Yeah, this is astrology.
Astrology.
Yeah,
because they couldn't. But all them sciences are
work
one
together.
And this is carry on, sis. Go on.
No, you said it. You said it.
Me alchemist. You understand what I'm saying?
But you've said it. So we need to reclaim our original thinking.
Straight.
You know, we need to just kind of reclaim that.
Say it again, a bit louder.
So I think that went over their heads. We need to reclaim our original thinking.
One more time, 3 times.
Oh, sorry. We need to reclaim our original thinking. We need to look and see kind of what worked with our ancestors.
Absolutely.
So this is like an example. You see,
definitely.
You were talking about on the practical side, and I was talking, you know, about the Unity Line and what that did, and we could see how that works together. And it is about, you know, how do these things work together?
Yeah, and you're absolutely right about going back to our ancestors, because that's absolutely what I've done. I've looked at my ancestors. I might have just gone back 4 generations, but I've looked at the energies of my grandmother, you know, on both sides and what they did. And that is actually, I see it as that's working through me. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
it is.
I'm actually, like, you know, saw where they're coming from, what
Yeah.
they did, their names, I can call upon them and say, you know, help me out here, and they have done. So you're absolutely,
But on even on a practical level,
absolutely,
even on a practical level, it's only very, very recently, in terms of science, and so I'm talking about the last 10, 15 years, that Western science is beginning to see that there's more in the DNA than
That's
they
where
first
they are.
thought. Because when we first used to talk about inherited memories,
Teach.
they kind of said, oh, well, there's notes. But now,
We're carrying records.
yeah, now,
It's not just our memory. It's not an odd memory
Yeah.
in there. Let me tell you,
Yes.
records.
Yes, sir.
Records.
Absolutely.
That send back centuries. And when you know how to tap in
Mhm.
Yeah.
to the information
Yeah.
Exactly.
that you came already with, you already came with that
That's it.
download.
That's it.
And this is
That's
what I've been
it.
telling I've been telling people this for the last year. I said everything you want externally, it's already within
There.
you.
internally.
It's
of
cool.
course.
Yes.
I've told them already.
Of
The
course.
only way out is
In.
in.
Yeah. But what we
Yes.
have to do for that to permeate is that we have to behave and walk and carry ourselves in a way that our ancestors can work through us.
Yes.
If we're doing things
Mhm.
out or to an, you know, and by the Western way
Yeah.
of doing things,
Mhm.
you know, looking like them, do you know what I mean? Eating the wrong foods,
Teach.
you know,
Teach.
doing the wrong things, intaking the wrong things, then they're going to find it hard to work through us.
Absolutely.
They're going to find it hard.
But the
And
good
that's
news
the state
is
that we're in, but
the-
we're getting there.
The good news is that is so strong. That is so strong that it will come through even without us knowing it. You know, it doesn't need our permission to be. It
Okay.
just is.
Okay.
But the self-awareness and what I like to call being in perfect in line with the universe makes that channel and that flow a lot more easier, because if you're living unclean or you're
That's
living,
right.
you know, wicked or unhealthy, you can't connect to source.
That's right.
You know, because
That's
the
right.
reality is, if we're going down this line of conversation, the reality is we're all connected to source.
Of course.
You understand?
Of
But
course.
you know, it's being in tune.
That's
And being in
right.
tune is to be in perfect alignment. To be in perfect alignment is to be on the right frequency. Well,
That's
frequency,
right.
it's like Ace Got Talk. We use Kiss FM as an example. Kiss FM is 100. That's the frequency to tune into that radio station, 100 FM. If you get it slightly out,
Yeah.
99.9, you get that static. But when you get that crystal cloud, everything runs in harmony.
Yeah. Fine
That's
tune.
what you're talking about. Because Ace Got Talk, I am God's advocate. And everybody in the community has got the answer to a problem. So nowadays, I just listen. I spent a year interviewing people and giving people answers. Now I'm just listening to other people say, okay, what's your answer? What do you think? And what you two have said today has both been very profound. You've talked about the spiritual side of things, the energy and being in tune. And I kind of cemented that by saying we need that. I don't like religion, but we need to, I get it, because spirituality can be misunderstood, but we all need to be in that one place in tune. You mentioned that we need money. Now, just looking back at history, because history is a great teacher, or can be. I've seen many organizations that have tried to do certain things in the past, and they've had the money, like you've mentioned, but for whatever reason, it hasn't worked. And I've seen a lot of, you know, very spiritually in tune people, very au fait with their knowledge of self and very spiritually aware and all of that, but broke. You see where I'm going?
Yeah,
balance.
so we need to,
You see where I'm
You
going?
need the
Yeah,
balance.
yeah.
You can't have one without the other.
Exactly.
For what
You
what you want to achieve, what we want to achieve, it has to be both.
Yeah.
You can have all the money in the world tomorrow. If your head ain't in the right spot,
Exactly. You've got to have purpose. Everybody
Purpose,
has
there
to
you
have
go.
purpose.
Yeah.
You have
Exactly.
to be.
There you go.
Exactly. And you know, on that purpose, going back again to what we were talking about earlier on about with the unity, you know, the purpose in this particular case, in this particular time, is no less than survival. What better purpose to actually unite under is our actual survival.
Don't sweep me, because even in them detrimental. Sorry to cut you on, but even in them detrimental situation, yeah, people, excuse me, are still stuck on stupid.
Yeah.
It's got talk. I'll say it again.
Every-
Even at life or death.
Yeah.
For some, I went life or
Everything
death.
in nature is about survival. It's
Teach.
about reproduction.
Teach.
You know what I'm
Teach.
saying?
Yes.
So if we're sitting here like sitting ducks,
Mhm.
there's something seriously wrong.
And can I
There's
just switch
something
it?
seriously wrong.
It's the conditioning.
Yeah.
It's
Can
the
I just
conditioning.
switch it a little bit? Because the other thing that, again, about the energy and the energy that we put out and how we do that. And one of the ways we do that is with our words, as you well know, and you well know. And I used to do a little experiment when I was in a group of about 3 or 4. I would start talking about something really positive and see how long it took before it was on a downward spiral. And it does take practice, because I find myself doing that as well. So that's a practical thing that we can all do in terms of changing the energy. Try, when we're having a conversation, we can talk about Black people who have achieved, Black people who are doing things.
That's right.
We can have more conversations like that. And that in itself is something that everybody can do. And it will no longer be the practice to go around and talk low about a Black person. I would love it to come to the point where if we see one Black person talking low about another Black person, we kind of pull them up.
Yeah, I agree with you.
We pull them up.
The realness and the practicality is, if I take what you've just said back to what you talked about in terms of solidifying, when I mentioned about, okay, so, we keep talking to those so-called conscious people, lip service. Do you know what I mean? It's like, the reality is that, like we honestly said earlier, that we have to work with those that are on that same
frequency
mindset, on that same frequency.
Absolutely.
Now, even though as much as I still want to, be, like, come on, sister, come on.
We can do both. It doesn't have to be
do
either
that.
All I'm suggesting is that those of us who are givers, we take the time to give to ourselves and each other, because we are givers. So we will naturally help. We will naturally, be going out and support. That's what we do. That's who we are. All we're suggesting is that, as well as doing that, we actually find a space for ourselves to strengthen each other and to give to ourselves and to each, because there are very few spaces like that. So it's not really, it's not saying, oh gosh, we're going to work on ourselves and we're not going to give anything to anybody else. That's not what it is. It's more about that we are going to work together and work on ourselves so that what we give out is better even.
Yeah, okay.
But
my question was then, sorry, maybe I've got a little bit.
As I said, we're a reason.
Okay, reason.
Can I go? Oh, do you know what? I wanted to read out some of the comments.
Oh, right.
Go on.
What was that? We've got 10 minutes left. Time off fly tonight. Sorry. And do you know what? In the last 10 minutes, there's been I don't know if you felt it, but there's been a shift in the energy. Like we were talking, and then there was just a surge in the room, and I sat in the awe of the surge, like, right, the energy just lift up in yourself, and we're deep on a nice vibration, a nice frequency right now. So I'm feeling the vibrations, but I just want to read out a few of the comments because I want to make sure we get them in. So first, I want to shout out to the Royal Empress, Her Majesty Pamela Haynes. Pamela, funny enough, has written a book called Loving a Brother. So it's loving the brother, and it's all around self-love. So guys, I definitely recommend that. Shout out to the Royal Empress Pamela Hayes, logged in. And last year when I won the World Motivational Speak competition, Pam said to me, she goes, Ace, I'm really excited for your journey. I can't wait to see what you did next. Well, Ace got talk what it looked like, baby. And yes, sis, do you know I wrote 3/4 of my book? I wrote 3/4 of a book explaining how I smashed up the World Motivational Speaker competition last year, and there's a lot of positive affirmations and mantras in that, and I haven't finished writing it yet. I've got about a few more chapters to finish, and we're going to get that published soon. And every time I speak to her, she's like, hey, you finished writing the book yet? You finished writing the book? But I'm so busy. I have the 2 TV show, radio, and charity, and welly things, but shout out to the Royal Empress Pamela Haynes. Lovely, like, cook food.
One of the stars in our community.
She's definitely a star. She's definitely a star. Right? The Queen Bee. So Pam says, great guest, Ace. Well done, Amanda, and she's even put joy with an eye.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well done,
Yeah.
joy with an eye.
Yeah.
Right? And Pam goes on to say, I agree. We don't need a crowd that may never happen, just a critical view. And I read
That's it.
that comment, sis, and I've been dying to interject to that because it's got to, you know, I preach unity. It's all about the community coming together, community coming together, community coming together. But I'm also a mathematician.
Sure.
And Ace got talk, I do the maths. And it was a conversation me and you had, Joy, and you often refer to critical mass. And in mathematics, do you want to break down what critical mass is, Joy?
Well, I mean, in just in regular parlance, it's really the powerful minority that is powerful enough to take the majority
Brilliant.
with it.
Yeah.
Teach
yeah.
one more time. Ace got talk. So, and the reason why this is important for the listeners at home as well, because we've gone past the stage of waiting for the whole world to all hold hands and say, right, we're going to make a stance together. Yeah, even though unity is important, it's 2020.
Yeah.
And we're at the stage now where we're doing maths. We're mathematicians. We're doing calculated. We're making decisions based on numbers. Yeah. And when you deal with critical mass, you don't need lots. There's a brilliant analogy is the film 300.
Okay. Yes.
Where
I've seen
them
that.
300 are just solid 300 man, solid army, and they're just taking down 10,000 man here. 15,000, the 300 man, but the way they move, they're moving so solid. Nothing can't go through. So we're dealing with critical mass. And for the listeners, one more time, just explain what critical mass is.
Okay, critical mass is the powerful minority that is powerful enough to take the majority with it.
Brilliant.
That sounds very much like many are called,
but few are chosen.
Yeah,
for real. But we are the chosen ones. Without that, you know what I mean? Right now, Meaning at TV, this is nothing but divinity. You know what I mean? So we don't necessarily always have to worry about 50 people behind you. Like I say, 1 and 1 makes 11. The power of numbers. Lions. I'm a lion. I know I'm in the presence of 2 lionesses. And in a real life, I study a lot of wildlife, and because nature tells you everything about life anyway. And 1 lion could get attacked by 20 hyenas. Soon as another lion steps into the scene, the numbers change. Two lions, 20 lions, 20 hyenas can't touch them. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you got to say it's 2 to the power of 20. You know what I mean? When you see 2 royal empresses sitting there, you actually see 20 strong women. You understand what I say? So this is important. I'm conscious that we're running out of time. And
you were going to do some more.
We might have to do a part 2. You know the way this one. Sweet till I get the 2 in the back. But do you ladies? Would you like to just summarize and just kind of round up?
I would just like to round up.
And when I say round up, not shut. You can still answer that question that you wanted to say. Finish off your question and then we'll summarize it.
Oh no, that's okay. I'll just summarize. Again, I would like to say that, or emphasize that we're still about the 1 million challenge. We're still about doing this. We're still about creating those institutions that we need for our community. So again, if you want to go to nashat.co.uk, all the information is on our website, where to donate, what we're going to be doing, what our aims of, is all on there. So again, if you're about this, or if you agree with what it is that we're doing, please contact Nashat.
Brilliant.
And I suppose I would like to leave people with the fact that each one of us feeds into the collective energy.
Definitely.
So it is really worth us working on ourselves, and just polishing off that little light, because sometimes it can be dulled. So just make sure that it's actually polished, and all sorts of things will come from that. All sorts of things, and on a physical, practical level, we have the Unity line, which we're building at the moment, which will be a line of Black people from Leeds to London, using the canal system, so that we can have that physical symbol of unity.
Yeah. Interesting. Sisters, I would like to thank both of you.
Thank you
for coming and just sharing and just mixing it up, because that's what it's about. It's about having those open dialogues and those open conversations. So thank you very much for just sharing with me and the listeners tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, wow, what a show. You know, the lionesses, you know, when they come out, right, it's got to. Well, a shout out to Cheryl, my darling Cheryl. God bless you. I'm locked in. And also, Sugar Drop. Our son boy, I feel like. Shout out to Sugar Drop, who says it's been an absolutely great show. So just one more great charitable organization that I'd like to mention is Real Talk Radio. If anyone's struggling in London with food aid, Real Talk Radio are giving out free food parcels to anyone that's struggling, anyone who's vulnerable. Get in touch with them, www.realtalkradio.co.uk. Also, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling suicidal, if you're suffering from anxiety and you'd like to speak to someone, Real Talk Radio has launched a national counselling service. Get in touch, www.realtalkradio.co.uk. Click on the help service page and we'll get a counsellor on the phone to you within 24 hours. Well, next week, guys, I got a surprise for you. It's got talk. As we're coming out of this pandemic, scandemic, it's got talk. Media Net Live TV. We're taking the show on the road. Oh yeah, that's right. I said it. It's got talk. Media Net Live TV. Next week we're gonna be on the road. I'm gonna be in my hometown, Harlesden, High Street, Northwest 10. It's got talk. You get me? We're gonna have the cameras rolling, and we're gonna be out on the street talking to the people on the ground in the community, some of the most influential people in the community. And we're going to be hearing what's going on the streets. Yeah? What's really good? What's the streets talking? What's the streets saying? So it's got talk. Media Net TV live, live. Harlesden High Street, Northwest 10. Next Monday. And guys, if you want to participate in any future shows, yeah, drop me an email. That's info@realtalkradio.co.uk. Until next week, stay blessed and salute.